Hey everyone, Dale here, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Jaguar I Pace and whether it's worth jumping up through the various specifications that they offer. I used to work and help manufacturers decide what sort of specification they should put into their vehicles and also what that specification was going to be worth over time. I have an option calculator linked below that will help you do the same thing. So if you're interested and you want to know what you should and shouldn't be putting into your vehicle as an option, the calculator below will help you. You can pick any vehicle from the UK or the US, you can pick cars and vans, but it will really help you decide whether you should or shouldn't be putting things into your vehicle and the value that's generally assigned to those things. But what we're going to do now is record my screen. You're going to see exactly what I'm going to see. We're going to run through the specifications and I'm effectively going to tell you why you should or shouldn't pick an SE or an HSE. So you can see what I can see on screen. I can't decide for you whether you should jump into an Ipace for £65,195, as you can see at the top of the screen there. You know, there are alternatives, Teslas, Audi, that sort of thing. But we're going to run through the base specification just so we understand what the S is all about, and then we're going to decide whether you should jump into an SE or a HSE. So key features, we've got wheels, we've got 19 inches, we've got LED headlights, we've got an 8-way heated semi-powered Luxtech sport seats, interactive driver's display, Meridian sound system, all new navigation system, automatic map updates, remote, online pack with data plan, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and a secure tracker with a 12-month subscription. Now, straight away, just clear something up. These are all exactly the same vehicle. They just have different specifications. So they're all EV 490 kilowatt hour all-wheel drive models. Same top speed, same 0 to 60 time. The prices that you see below this screen, which you'll see in a second, are based on a 3-year 60 sort of finance agreement. So a typical finance agreement, if you're looking to PCP the vehicle, keep it for 3 years and then buy it back, would it actually be worth keeping it based on the specification that they're asking for? And we're just going to have a look at that now. So you're going to see numbers and X's and ticks all over the place, but I'll explain as we go along. So, to jump from an Ipace S to an Ipace SE, you will have to pay, as you can see at the top there, you have to pay Jaguar £4,600. Now there's various X's and ticks on the screen here, basically what does and doesn't add value or whether it's a duplication from what came with the spec beforehand. So, wheels, 20 inch, so they are 1 inch bigger than the S. From a residual value point of view, from a valuation point of view and how we look at how to value things, we don't add any additional value to alloy wheels. If you want to pay more for alloy wheels because you like the style or the design or the size or whatever it happens to be, that's entirely what you decide. But from a valuation perspective, we don't add any additional value for those sorts of things because they are quite subjective. And as you obviously get bigger in wheel size, things like ride height and dynamic handling, it starts to get affected a little bit, so we don't add value to alloy wheels. So that's the reason why there's an X next to it. But obviously if you want to pay more, because it comes with 20 inches rather than 19, that's entirely your choice, but we don't value it that way. Next up is exterior lighting. So we've got premium LED headlights this time with the signature daytime running lights. I've added a little bit of value here. Again, this is in 3 years' time, of £250. You might consider that quite a low number, but we have to take into account where we think the market is going to be in 3 years' time. So lighting technology will be different, the efficiency of the lights, the type of bulbs, the type of style and design. Will these go onto a different shape of vehicle? Will this particular vehicle look quite outdated in 3 years' time because there's some newfangled technology that's come out? So we have to take all these things into account, and that's why we price lights quite low compared to what you might imagine they would be. So that's why I put £250. If you take Audi for an example, the early Audi R8 models had individual LEDs around the exterior of the lights, and now you have full-blown matrix LED lights with the directional indicators. So that's where the industry's gone, and in 3 years' time it will probably evolve even more. So that's why it's £250. Next up, we've got the seating. We've got 12-way dual leather heated electric memory front seats with 2-way manual headrests. So you can forget the manual headrest bit, that doesn't add any value whatsoever. 12-way adds value. Obviously heated and electric front seats definitely adds value, and I've put a value of £900 worth of value on this in 3 years' time. Again, whether you agree or disagree is entirely your prerogative, and if you want to pay more because it comes with more adjustment, that's entirely your choice. But from a value point of view, we have to be fairly consistent with how we price things, and from what I can see here, I would personally add £900 worth of value. Next up is the infotainment. Now, what Jaguar tend to do is they duplicate the specification over their specs. So what that means is they're effectively copy and pasting what you had on the previous specification just to show you what you also get on the specification above that. Other manufacturers don't do that. They generally just show you what is different about the specification, whereas Jaguar like to pad out what is on screen here, and they're effectively telling you what you already know. So on the S model, you already get an interactive driver's display, but they've repeated it here for the SE. Again, Meridian sound system, you already get that on the S model. It's the same for the Pivi Pro, all new navigation system, automatic map updates, you already get those things on the model below. Remote, online pack with data plan, Apple CarPlay, secure tracker, again, all on the previous specification. What is new on the SE is a blind spot assist pack, which comes with blind spot assist, rear traffic monitor. Rear traffic monitor is basically if you are in a parking bay and you can't see the rear of the vehicle because there's two cars parked next to you, for example, it will warn you if there's vehicles coming. And clear exit monitor is if you're parked parallel, let's say you're on a curb and you can't see in your blind spot, it will tell you as you're pulling out whether there's a vehicle there so you don't accidentally pull out on that vehicle. So I have added a little bit of value to this, £300 worth, again in 3 years' time. Generally, I advise manufacturers not to add safety equipment to different specifications. They should add these things in as standard on the base vehicle, because effectively what the message is to the customer, you have to pay to be safe in our vehicles, and that's not something I'm going to sit and endorse by adding a different value to the vehicle. So for me, if I was actually going to price this for in real life on a system, I wouldn't add any value whatsoever to the safety equipment, because I feel that it makes manufacturers think that they can get a residual value benefit from the value. But in this case, I have added value just so you can see what sort of values we would add to things like these, but I generally wouldn't do this. But it's £300, which if you take everything I've added, which is effectively just a couple of items, I've totaled this up to £1,450. So you're paying Jaguar £4,600, and in 3 years' time, I actually think this is worth, nearly £1,500 worth of specification. It looks like there's a lot of specification on the page, but a lot of it is just copying over from the S model, and really you're getting some lights, 12-way adjustment seats, and some safety equipment. And for me, £4,600 is too expensive for that sort of specification. So that's what I would advise Jaguar, and whether they listen to my opinion or not is entirely their prerogative. It's their product, they can do what they want, but from an independent point of view, that is what I would tell them. Now, the next and final specification, there's not many to pick from on the Ipace, is the HSE. Just going to scroll down again, and as you can see, that isn't a typo. You do pay another £4,600 to jump from an SE to a HSE, which seems a bit arbitrary. Why is it exactly the same number? I don't know what the answer is to that. It seems very odd because there is a lot more ticks on this particular spec compared to the SE, so I would avoid the SE model. But we'll run through the spec again and I'll explain why I priced it how I have. Wheels, again, we've got 20 inches. It's exactly the same as what you get on the SE. You're not getting any benefit. You're not going from steel wheels to alloy wheels. You're not going from alloy wheels to titanium wheels, so on and so forth on the very, very expensive stuff. So we just see them as alloy wheels. You don't get any benefit for that. Exterior lighting, matrix LED headlights with signature DRL and animated directional indicators. I've added this as a combined value. So £300 is for both the animated directional indicators and the matrix LED headlights. For the reasons I've said before about technology moving on and efficiency and design and things like that, that's why it's probably lower than what you think that would be worth. But I've put in £300 just to show that there is a visual difference. Actually, if I put both of the vehicles on screen, And if you look where on the right hand side there at the headlights, there actually isn't any visual differences that I can personally see between the premium LED headlights and the matrix LED headlights. So it doesn't seem to be a massive benefit there in terms of, you know, how it looks visually on screen today, which has come directly from the Jaguar website. So, you know, whether it's worth it or not is another question. We then go to the seating, which is a 16-way heated and cooled, so different. We've now got cooled seats, passenger memory front seats with the 2-way manual headrests again. Again, we don't add value for manual headrests, but for the 16-way cooled seats and the memory function on the passenger seat, we can add a little bit of value there. It's a nice convenience option for your passengers. And obviously you get more adjustment on your lower back and you know, for how you're going to sit in the vehicle. So I've added £400 worth of value for that. Infotainment, interactive driver's display. Again, you get that on the specifications before, so there is no benefit to picking the HSE in that regard. You do get the Meridian 3D sound system. Again, I've added a little bit of value for sound systems. We don't generally add a lot of value for these sorts of things. You know, I know they can get very expensive. You can pay £1,000 for a Bose system and all sorts of stuff like that. We don't add massive values to things like that. What we would generally do is get the product in, we test it. You know, it might be specifically we get it in just to test the sound system. If Jaguar are that confident that it makes that much of a difference between their products and they want to see some additional value added to it, they'll send us the product and we'll test the sound system back to back. And maybe we'll add some additional money to it once we've evaluated the product. I have added a little bit, but not much. £150 for that. Lower touchscreen, not my cup of tea personally, but it does make the car look very appealing inside. And that is obviously the way the world seems to be going, with digital touchscreens taking up the entire, you know, dashboard area. I've added £500 worth of value for the lower touchscreen. I have used this touchscreen in another of Jaguar's products. Again, not my cup of tea. I personally wouldn't want to use it, but you know, I can see the benefit behind it. Head-up display, I've added £150 worth of value for that. Again, a really nice convenience option, and for those vehicles that do have it, it does make a difference on just making your drive a little bit easier, because you can see road signs on your screen there, you can see your GPS, you can see all sorts of information. We'll go across to the Pivi Pro navigation system. It's the same as what came before. Automatic map updates, again, you get that on the specification, so there's no benefit. Remote, online pack, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, secure tracker. No, you get all that stuff on the previous specifications. Blind spot assist pack, you got that on the specification before this, so there's no benefit again to jumping up to the HSE. What you do get different on this one is the driver assistance pack, which is adaptive cruise control with steering assist and a rear collision monitor. Rear collision monitor is if you're in traffic and a vehicle is coming up really fast behind, maybe they're not concentrating on you or vehicles in front, it will basically throw on the hazard warning lights really fast to say, hold on, there's a car right in front of you, you need to start slowing down. So that's what that does. Again, I've added a little bit of value to this just to recognise that it is a bit of a benefit, but we don't generally do stuff like that when we're valuing products like this, because we want the customer to be safe no matter what price. We don't want customers to pay an extra £4,600 to get some, you know, lights, a Meridian sound system, and to not get whiplash. You know, that's just not how we price things. So that's why I've only put a little bit of value on there, because we don't want to incentivise the manufacturer. So the total for a HSE is £1,700. Now, one thing I can't value, because I don't have the data to tell me what that information would be, is what the HSE name means to you as a customer. HSE was generally on the very expensive Range Rover products, and there's an association and a connotation with having the HSE name on the back of your vehicle, and that will add value because it is deemed to be a much higher spec vehicle than the specifications that come before it. So I can't add any value to that. I could if I had the data, you know, and things like that, but just from a pure specification point of view, I've totaled this to £1,700. Whether you want to pay more because it's a HSE and it looks good on the driveway or whatever it is, or you're a corporate customer, or you want to be seen or perceived in a certain way to your customers, or however it happens to be, I can add value to that. You're going to pay whatever you're going to pay for a HSE name on the back of your Jaguar I-Pace. But I hope you found that helpful. Personally, I wouldn't get the HSE or the SE. I'd stick with the base model. It seems quite adequate enough. And we would start to speak with Jaguar about different battery options and charging options and things like that, because they add a lot more value to vehicles like this than the specification generally would. At this moment in time anyway. You know, that might change in the future as more electric vehicles come onto the road and specification then starts to take over. But right now, we would say, you know, have a think about your infrastructure, the battery packs, the range and things like that, because that's more important right now, in our opinion, for customers buying this particular vehicle. But again, yep, I hope you found that helpful. If you did, obviously give it a like. And if you want to see more videos like this, then please subscribe. Check out the option calculator below. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.